So this is gonna be a bonus episode where I will take on Hard Seren with a duo partner and we will check it out together. I will go over my thoughts that I had during that Hard Seren boss fight, as well as, my post boss fight thoughts right here. So first of all, to start things off, I'm duoing this boss fight with a Demon Slayer, a 2-minute class, and I'm a Nightwalker as a 3-minute class. That is strange, but we do make it work. I'm at roughly 61k stat and I'm liberated. He's, I think, about to be 60k stat and is not liberated. So how do we make it work? In our case, I get to dictate the fight a little bit when it comes to doing the damage, right? So my 3-minute burst needs to hit, so I have to get the bind in while he just either aligns his burst with mine or just bursts whenever he has his burst up. You've already seen the red animation from the event. I already lost a life at this stage, and I can tell you, I really despise phase 1. It is, I don't know, it is something else. It is RNG heavy, it is execution heavy, you have to be quick, the pillars do a ton of damage, and there's just so much room for mistakes that I really have a tough time dealing with it. Here you could see one example of me actually dealing with the banana somewhat properly. By teleporting back to my Greater Dark Servant, I get to dodge the banana completely, because if you ever face this boss, and yeah, here's the problem, the banana is a big troublemaker. How I usually try to avoid it is by jumping over it if my GDS teleport isn't really available. Alright, so if we are applying to the top bar, the bind cooldown just came off, so Seren is now bindable again. And since we are close to phasing, I will use the Era Nova bind here, my secondary bind, in order to also put a decent amount of damage onto Seren with my mini burst, while my Demon Slayer partner uses his 2-minute full burst again. And that will eventually, lead to us doing enough damage to phase here. But before we can phase, I can already see myself stacking quite a bit of gauge. And there you could see, on the one hand, the proper way to handle the gauge by up jumping and blinking, but unfortunately I did not remember to cast Dark Side, so the debris did pop my door. While my life count is still at 5 lives, I already lost 2. So yeah, phase 1 really does me dirty every time we do it. I have so many problems. See again, you can see me trying to handle the banana and it completely wrecks me and I lose my self door. So if you've been counting, I've entered this boss fight with 8 lives, so to say. 1 from the event, 1 from Bishop, my self door, and I've already lost all the bonus doors, let's put it like that, bonus lives, and now it's just me, and we will see how that will turn out. 1% life left. What is the good thing to do before phasing into P2? That is, of course, gauging again. So you start with a clean gauge in phase 2, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do here, while J-Regan, my Demon Slayer partner, focuses on beating up Seren. And yeah, there we go. I died again. So 4 lives technically lost in P1 in this run. This is educational, let's put it like that, for me to upload this, but it's not a good example of how to deal with phase 1. And yeah, it also means that I have a lot to learn still and a lot ahead of me, but for me that's completely fine. I'm just showcasing my progress, right? So, phase 2. We are here. I have my burst up and my Demon Slayer. My Demon Slayer is also weird to say, right? But the Demon Slayer is gonna use the Origin Bind here for me to get off as much damage as is possible for me. As a Nightwalker, a ton of the 40-second burst is concentrated into 30 seconds. Because I have big buffs which last for 30 seconds, and securing time, damage uptime during that window is crucial. absolutely crucial. You can do so much more damage if you have proper uptime on your burst. That's also why Liberating helped me so much in all bosses that I do. Just having the option to press the iframe button just like that and have, I don't know, 8 seconds I think additional uptime on everything is absolutely perfect, and yeah, increases the damage output by a ton. So, in phase 2, we can actually talk about the mechanics here. This phase of Seren does give you a ton of gauge. Every attack that you get hit by will cause the gauge to go up massively, while you will get stunned. If the gauge fills up, you will also reduce the amount of nighttime. That's the third phase basically, and that is the easiest phase. So obviously you don't want to gauge and reduce your nighttime, because that's a part where you will deal a lot of damage if you decide to burst during it, because as it stands, it's from the beginning of phase 2 already very short, and you know, depending on the class that you play, you might not even be able to fit your burst into it. So yeah, some classes might not even want to burst, I imagine. Then we have the let's put it like a P2 of P2. The dawn phase for me, not the dawn phase, the, oh my god, I can't even remember. For me, this is always the burn phase, because all of the Seren hits here will burn you, and you will have reduced healing throughout this phase. So even healing up after getting hit is extremely difficult, and you would want to avoid getting hit here at all times. You can see here my duo partner is doing a fantastic job, honestly, at keeping Seren on the left side, and you know, I just have such an easy time, because you know, he does all the legwork here in this case. You know, let's put it like that. Maybe I'm there to, you know, provide the damage output, but he is just as much as me, if not even more, carrying the fight here by pulling Seren and, you know, just giving me an easier time. So you can see me big bursting here. I will always recommend you, if you are stationary during your burst, to use the Genesis iframe if you got it, because the pillars that spawn in this phase deal massive amount of damage, and you know, their hitbox is extremely wide. So if you're in an unlucky spot, you know, two pillars right beside each other will overlap on that damage and will just one hit you straight up. So yeah, this phase is extremely deadly. If you have Dark Side, you can dodge the debris, as well as I think the first 2 hits of the one-hit attack. I didn't even know that at this point in the boss fight, but you know, it's something that I might utilize someday. Okay, and with that out of the way, I wanna get your attention to the gauge right there, because it is about to be filled up, but now we've entered the night and the gauge decreases absolutely rapidly, which I would say, you know, I did a pretty good job in this boss fight of not gauging too much in phase 2, although as I've already said, phase 1 was absolutely horrendous. But yeah, without me performing good in P2, we can't clear. Let's put it like that. In this phase, you still want to dodge the stab attacks from Seren, but that's about it, to be honest. So, and after a very short night phase, we will enter dawn, and this is the scariest phase of them all. Seren is relatively predictable, but that does not mean that this phase is easy by any means. This is so deadly. If you get hit by anything in this phase, it is very likely that you're just straight up gonna die. So all your moves have to be calculated. In general, I would recommend damaging Seren, but only to an extent where you can do it comfortably. You can see me here gauging and dying at the same time with, you know, just a single mistake. I used the Greater Dark Servant teleport because the situation on the right side got way too spicy, but unluckily, maybe unskilled, I'm not 100% sure, but on the left side of the map, many patterns were waiting for me that I just couldn't react to because, you know, I just teleported there, right? Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if this is a mistake to teleport left and right during this phase or not, or how I should really go about this, because, like I said, this is very difficult. Although I said, you know, Seren is predictable, and the crabs that she spawns that linger over the bottom of the arena are quite predictable in what they do and when they attack, etc. The bubbles are still a mystery for me. You know, they appear and then, you know, they stay around. You can bait them a little bit, but, you know, sometimes they're in the weirdest spots and you'll just get hit by them. Yeah, here I got hit by them again because they spawned on top of me. I'm pretty sure they have set spawn points, but at this stage I am not sure on how I would like to play around them. There you could see Seren dashed right into me, and that enabled me to let her send a crab right into the wall, which is absolutely perfect. So, and then we transition into noon again, and with a bunch of bar, I decide to gauge immediately. I get lasered, that was probably not the plan, but gauging in noon is definitely very much more possible. Also, you know, gauging on purpose when comparing to dawn, 100%. So, before I get started on my burst, I would rather gauge first in order to confirm as much of my burst as possible. Even, you know, taking a death in the meantime. But I think that is a philosophical question if you should gauge on purpose in Seren in phase 2. I think so. In this case it was convenient because it worked out, but it's not always gonna work out, you know. It's still likely that you will die if you gauge. So in this case, you know, on the one hand it was lucky, maybe it was skilled. To be honest, I can't tell you. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But I think I will run hard Seren for quite some time, which means that there's enough time to get really good at this boss, and I think this boss is my gateway into getting good at Maplestory, to be honest. So yeah, that's just my plan with these duos, for example. You know, the item, of course, it is nice to get an item drop out of this, right? But I could still, you know, find a party where 3 other people already have the emblem and they're just happy to help me get an emblem. And at this stage in the game, I would not feel comfortable going for such a deal, to be honest. Okay, anyways, back to the fight. Here you can see me actually doing something amazing again. I go over to the right side and decide to gauge on purpose. And again, I do it correctly. I get out of noon with 0 gauge, and this is honestly the perfect setup for the burn phase, which is, I'm pretty sure it's called Twilight, but with 0 gauge here, I can play super confident. Even when I get hit, I don't have to fear gauging and dying. At this point, we go for the same strategy. The Demon Slayer is tanking a lot of these Seren hits. I am not sure how he does it, but he does it so well. And I can just sit here, wait for my burst, and then get it done. This was honestly really amazing to get this duo out of the way. And for the rest of the boss fight, I will leave you with my live commentary. Okay. We are out!
Yeah, let's go.
Oh man, this was so deserved. We practiced so much, man.
Yeah.
Decent. Holy symbol and 400. Okay. Do you want to blink now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Mini blink.
Oh. Big blink.
Wow.
Right,
Overshoot it by a lot.
Yeah. Holy
Oh,
shit.
You got
That
it.
actually dropped.
You got it.
What the fuck? Damn.
Th-
What?
That's
I'm
nice.
kind of speechless. Thanks. Holy fuck.
So deserved. Honestly, so deserved. We practiced a lot, like I said. Damn, this is amazing.